what's happened over the 12 months that Philippe Clement has been in charge is Rangers have downgraded to such an extent that they're not even in the same ballpark.
No.
And that's why there'll be Rangers supporters dreading the idea of going to Hampden December 15th because they've seen this movie I don't know how many times and they know how it ends, and it doesn't end happily for them.
So Rangers next have Olympiacos in the Europa League away from home on Thursday. Then next weekend, week today, Rangers against Hearts at Ibrox. A rejuvenised Hearts to some extent. I'll put this to you guys before we move on from Rangers. Do you think Philippe Clement will definitely still be Rangers manager when the cup final comes round on December 15th?
Oh, I wouldn't say definitely.
I'd say probably.
Probably.
Because for the very reasons we're discussing, there's nobody there to make that call, nobody there to make the decision. And could a caretaker chairman really look and say, okay, we'll pat him off, we'll pay him off, and then we'll find a new guy, we might have to spend a bit of money to recruit him, then we have to give him a contract, and that contract presumably only to be a 4-year deal, something in that ballpark. You're now accounting for millions and millions of pounds. And what if, when you do find a new chairman and a new chief exec and a new director of football operations, they look and say, well, what did you bring this guy for? Because the first thing we're going to have to do is get shot.
Yeah.
So I think for that reason, for that list of reasons, there's every chance, I think it's probable that the Rangers board will also be looking at this. Because I remember something similar this time last year, if they could just get to Hampden, if they could just lift this cup, everything might start to improve. And so I would fully envisage that they'll be sitting there with their fingers crossed right now, maybe with pencils up their nose and their underpants in their head, thinking, Big Phil could still pull this out the fire. I don't think that most Rangers fans would agree that it's even still a remote possibility.
The other thing is, Keith, the cost of the management's one thing, but a new manager, if a new manager was to walk in the door, he then says, for example,
squad's rotten.
I don't like Robin Proper.
Aye.
I don't like Jeffy.
I need more
I don't
players,
like
aye.
him. I don't like him.
Aye.
By the
And
way,
Rangers are moving into a Hibs situation now. We talked about Hibs as regards having 4 managers worth of players.
it's a big point.
Rangers are there now.
Aye, that's true. Aye.
Rangers. If you James Taverner, you go back what 5 managers
Matt
for
Warburton,
James Taverner.
yeah.
I mean, you now have you've Van Bronckhorst players, you've got Beale players, you've got Clement players. That is the situation that Hibs have got themselves into.
Yeah.
With so many of these, they can't move them on.
Warburton, Senior, has he got any players left from the Pedro?
Probably not.
Maybe not. Gerrard. So it will be about 5.
Yeah.
And by the way, we mentioned Manchester United. That's exactly the same. It's the same problems that which are crippling them. And I always say that Sunderland were the poster boy club for this.
Yeah, they were a better example than Hibs. Yeah.
But you now look at your Man United and Rangers, and these are the same problems. It's no real surprise that it becomes more and more difficult to manage a group successfully. And I tell you what, it becomes even more difficult than that when you go out in the summer and you sign yourself an experienced central defender and you have to pay a few quid for him, and you think this guy will be the guy that I need to turn to, and he's going to be, he'll sort out our defensive frailties. And then in a semi-final against Motherwell, your guy, what he's Balogun now,
36, I think,
36.
just about.
He pulls up. The manager has to turn to his bench again, and he doesn't put on Robin Proper. So it's not even a case of a manager comes in and I don't fancy the last guy's players. It's the manager's there and he doesn't fancy the players that he's bought.